How many full-time AI artists do you know? Today, you're going to meet one.
But we get so caught up in trending to catch the algorithm to grow. And next thing you know, where did our voice end up in all of that?
Tyler's the man. He gets busy. Everybody's talking about AI right now. It's one of those trending words on Google. Been trending for years now, but it's peaking, especially right now in 2023. Someone who I feel 100% confident in saying is ahead of this adoption curve is today's guest. Me, I can be a very technical guy as well, and I want to know the numbers, the objective numbers.
In the first 2 months of doing the AI stuff, I got to 20,000.
You'll get value out of this episode if you are trying to grow your account doing what you do, especially if it's something very technical that everyone knows about, but very few can perform. How many of us know how to write a prompt? How many of us know how to incorporate AI into our own workflows? Doing AI isn't as simple as just using something like this. There's a lot that goes into it. You need a beefy computer. It does take right now at the beginning of any kind of curve, it takes a lot of capital to make significant moves, right? He's done that. He's got the computer, he's got the hardware, software, and most of all, he's got the grind to show up and produce. He does it consistently. That's why I follow him. As words, it's one thing, but what he does is very visual. So I wanted to see it and I wanted you to see it.
It might not let me get into my PC from the Wi-Fi.
Oh, is it too slow?
I think so.
I need better Wi-Fi or I need a longer Ethernet cable to hook up. Unfortunately, we were not able to see Tyler's process, but that's just part of 100 Bad Videos, right? We are the anti-perfect channel. You and I, we just want to get it done and share it. We want to share the process. That's what this whole channel is about. But I've noticed since the recording of this episode, he has shared a bit more about his process and behind the scenes. So go ahead. I encourage you to check out Tyler's profile. Links are in the bio. Definitely check him out. Get inspired. The future for Tyler looks bright. The future for you and I includes AI. Ooh, bars. If you are interested in how AI can optimize your workflow, if you're interested in how people are actually transitioning into more full-time jobs around AI, this episode is for you.
Trying to keep a little bit of the mystique with the hat since this is go on my social. I try not to put like I have no problem getting on there and addressing like and talking and sharing stuff. But I try to keep it fairly like not too much personal me on there, but the part I interject, I try to make it as real as possible.
See, like, do you feel like there's a mask on and off type of thing
going
on?
So I feel like yes, and that's been to my detriment up to this point because it's hard to work with brands when they can't monetize on your personality.
Straight product.
And so what I am trying to now find ways to break myself out from is being tied to gig work, because that's essentially what just making cool videos gets you is we want to hire you for this music video. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. But it's never about you. It's about the thing.
Well, we already started so much times that I was like, good thing we're recording. Obviously, I want to talk to you about who you are, just the person, how much ever you want to share. Everything is how much you want to share, right?
Of course.
Because you're if anyone knows, like, we'll get to that part, but the work you do is what drew me to you and has us sitting here today, because I am a creator and I like to, as we say, real recognize real. I feel like, no, I got a lot to learn from you, and selfishly, I want to ask you a lot of technical things, but also just like maybe even business-wise things, like how do you approach certain things? I'm sure a lot of people out there who are interested in social media and building followings and communities, you're going to get gems from this conversation as well, because Tyler has a following, and I'm sure, and you've collaborated with, we're going to dig into all of that. The collaborations, but also just the actual output is something to be recognized. Like, dude showing up all the time, over and over. So AI, I know we're going to get into that.
Of course.
We're going to get into the person, what he does, and also the bigger picture of what 2023 is shaping up to be like. And I mean, the next decade is going to be crazy. So go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Tyler, and I am better known online and in the global street dance community as JBoogs. On Instagram, it's jboogs.creative. And I am a professional videographer, editor, and now full-time AI artist.
Say that again, that last one.
I am now a full-time AI artist.
What does that mean? There's a lot to unpack.
Well, so I officially, and it's really cool to be coming on and talking about this, especially like right now. In the past week, I have went through and quit all of my work that was not AI related, because all the stuff you've seen me doing over the past couple of months has led up to me getting offered a job at the largest AI art resources website on the internet. And my role is artist relations and content management, doubling up as also content creator for them. But the website is massive. They get the actual views and clicks and eyes they get every day from every corner of the world. It doesn't even sound real when I hear them talking about it in meetings. But they have put no energy into their socials up to this point. Hence, now there is a person dedicated to that and someone who is actually passionate about it. And so I'm looking forward to helping them blow up. But it's crazy to say I work full-time in AI now after the couple years of just like freelancing and gigging and editing wedding videos and just ran whatever I could do to pay the bills and not have to go work a job that made me loathe waking up in the morning.
Preach. Everybody who's like gigging, and it doesn't have to be with a camera. A lot of times it's not, but we gigging one to the next. You never really feel like you got a runway. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now that you're a full-time AI creator artist, what did you say? AI, full-time AI.
The words are interchangeable. We're not going to get stuck on the nuances. Okay. The point of it is that I work full-time in AI now, which in itself is crazy to be able to say.
That's why I had to ask you to like define that, because I've never met someone that says I'm a full-time AI artist or full-time AI XYZ, right? But today we can, and it's going to be a lot more normal. That's my inclination as a creator, right? Who's actively participating in both the personal side, the stuff that like we just like to do. I don't care if it's 2:30 a.m. I'm going to see this idea materialize somewhat. We've all been there, right? There's that when the genie takes over, right? There's that. But then there's also the commercial side, which kind of we spoke to earlier, where it's like, but then I also got to provide. And I got the skills to fill that problem A, B, C over there at person XYZ. Okay. So you're kind of like one arm is over here doing this and one arm is over there doing that. But full-time means like both arms are on this thing. You're going full-time, literally. But then also the fact that this big company, and you don't have to like say them, but a big company, I can guarantee you, is not the first or last company that's going to make that decision to bring on a full-time someone like yourself and address this tidal wave. It feels like a tidal wave to me.
I feel like AI now, and I don't even want to compare it to this, because no, I'm not going to compare it to that. I will say that I personally believe that AI right now at the point it's at, that AI right now at the point where it's at is going to be the next advancement that was as big as the internet was when the internet started out, and no one really understood the implications of what the internet would be 10, 15 years ago.
People are still laughing at Jeff Bezos.
Exactly.
Yeah, got you. So in 20 years, for me, it's very personal because my timeline is not just mine, it's also our children's. And so I definitely think in decades, even more so now. So like when they're graduating high school, when they're my age right now, when they become parents and so forth. And I think about that, whether I'm doing the stuff that I like to do or doing the stuff that I have to do. And I think like, well, when they're doing this, like their environment, I cannot even imagine it. And I like to think of myself as an imaginative, creative, observant person.
Can you even imagine what it would be like to be in high school and going through the dynamics of what we knew in high school when we were growing up, but with the added everything of social media now? I can't even imagine what it's like to be what it would be like to be a teenager now.
Bro, like on a bus ride, I was chauffeuring my oldest daughter's field trip. It was like a 45-minute bus ride. I was kind of stoked, like, oh, I'm chaperoning. You know what I'm saying? On the way back, you know, looking through some pictures that we took at the farm, like what people want up carrots and stuff. I was like, hey, I just downloaded Bazart. This app, right? It's a smartphone app that you can alter images using AI. And then me and she's 6 at the time. Me and my 6-year-old are on the bus ride back to school. And in that span of time, bro, we went hard. Like she was giving me what we would call prompts. Mm-hmm. She was giving me prompts. She didn't call it prompts, but she was just saying like, wait, no, I don't like that. Make it flowers. Or, you know, as a matter of fact, put a cat in there. Make the cat dance. You know, she's prompting, but she's just we're looking at a screen together and like making some cool art. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is 2023. Bro, when she's, you know, just doing her project normally on a Thursday, someday in 2030, what is it going to be like then?
Yep.
What is going to be measured and what's going to be like an objective? It's so hard to get objective about art, but how are you going to measure someone's competency or proficiency in anything?
So here's the interesting thing about AI on the art side of things is that it's democratizing the ability to output high quality art. Now, when I talk about art, to me, it's completely subjective. I completely understand that something that someone else thinks is super artistic and thinks is really dope, I might think is scribble and just won't vibe with it. But just because I might not vibe with what someone else makes, that doesn't not make it art. Like if you create something from nothing, whether it's with a computer and you punch some words in and an image comes out, or you sit down with a paintbrush, or you pick up a camera, whatever the output is, to me, in my opinion, that's art.
How would you define, or how is today's AI reshaping the definition of creativity?
Okay, so as creatives, whenever we start, so the cameras, for example, we have people that we look up to who film in certain styles, in certain ways, that at some point, whether it was at the beginning of our career or we saw a trend on Instagram that everyone's doing, like right now, the take off the foo-foo, and everyone's doing the generative fill Photoshop thing, the flickering of the images, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between someone seeing something they're inspired by 5 years ago and trying to recreate it and get something that they made that looks exactly like that, and then eventually put their own spin on it and remix it and make it completely theirs? What's the difference between that and now being able to do it with AI and prompting? But the only difference is you can do it at scale and faster and output more in like a crazier time period than you ever could before. There's no difference between those two things. It's just we're getting more efficient at that process.
Efficiency wins. I'm with you on that. And as someone who has many hats and is doing a lot of things at once, I need efficiency in my life. I need efficiency hacks.
We all do. I still do.
I mean, you'll never have enough, right? You can never get like zero. Like I'm good. There's always something to iterate, change, adapt, like on to get that efficiency back. And a lot of times I think it's for us, it's like for time. But because let's do that. Maybe we got ahead of ourselves. But let's start with some numbers. Like how many videos do you make a week? How long does it take you to make your average video? What's the growth looking like? Numbers.
From the time I started the AI videos, which was I started posting, I said, okay, I'm going to make one of these things every day and post every day. And we could just say that started on May 1st.
2023.
Yeah, it was right around there.
Okay.
I know for a fact before I took any breaks, because I started getting projects and there was stuff that just pulled my focus, I posted somewhere in the realm of 34 or 35 AI videos straight with no breaks in those days. And every single one of those, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, were collaborations. But every day, no break. And one of these AI videos, contrary to most people thinking that It's just button pressing. One of these videos will take anywhere for a 45 to 60 second video will take anywhere from 4 to 5 hours before I can say like, okay, I'm happy with this style. But even if I found the style that I like 30 or 45 minutes into that process, it's still going to take me the rest of the 4 to 5 hours to tweak numbers and tweak just like the settings are crazy. And it's basically coding. And I don't have a development background. I don't have a coding background.
You've kind of fumbled into this. Like, wait, I'm coding now?
It is some weird form of it because almost everybody else that I am now really good friends with that I hang out with on a daily basis in a little private Discord server that are really talented AI artists, a lot of times I feel self-conscious hanging around and interacting with everyone, even though they never make me feel that way, but because I'm one of the only ones in the group that does not have a development or programming background. But I am one of the only ones in the group with a filmmaking background and with the years of creativity and the street dance and all that stuff. So what they can help contribute to me as far as the technical side of things, I can return the value with my eye.
It sounds like the perfect match. Like the team aspect of what you just described is like, oh, that's someone who doesn't have something we all have, but has something that none of us have. Kind of aspect. Maybe that's just my own thinking about your Discord group. But there's so many things I want to ask you. Like, what else besides those numbers that you just shared?
Well, wait, I got ahead of myself there.
Okay.
The actual numbers is about 4 to 5 hours to style and get the consistency of the video right. Consistency meaning there's not too many double heads. There's not a third arm every 5 frames. The background isn't going like too crazy. So getting a stable output takes about 4 to 5 hours, and then actually letting that video run to completion for a 45 to 60 second video will take somewhere between 10 to 12 hours.
Of your powerful ass computer going to work.
Of my current 3090 with 24 gigabytes of VRAM, just going to town on it overnight.
So you got to work like a Porsche, and that's still taking 12 to what, 15 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say that you can let that run in the background and you can be active doing other things. Full time, you're still doing something. So what else are you doing for each video?
So for each one of these AI videos, before it even gets to the AI part, there is a process, because the part that a lot of people have still been fumbling on in the community that I see is underestimating how important just like the initial video quality is to getting the stable image. You can sit there and you can tweak your prompt and you can move the sliders and you can do all the math you want. But if the initial video was shot on a cell phone and the person is not taking up the majority of the frame and there's motion blur and you're overexposed, or the yellow wall is too yellow and you didn't pull the saturation down on it with the color picker, you're going to have a bad time. And you're just giving yourself more of a headache. So before any video goes into the actual AI process, I take it into Premiere. I color grade it. I make sure everything's balanced. From there, I run it through a program called Topaz Video AI.
Yeah.
If a video is 1080, I will upscale it to 2K. I will de-motion blur it in Topaz, as well as use the enhancement function.
Is that the same as sharpening then?
No, because there's an enhancement thing that sharpens it, and then there's a separate de-motion blur thing in the program. And Topaz is AI based too, so it's doing its own magic back there, but it works. I take that 2K video, and then that 10 to 15 hour time frame is with me rendering the video through the AI. It's not a program; it's a notebook. It's a coding notebook that is hosted on Google Colab. So it's not even a piece of software. This is all being run through.
Yeah.
That renders out at 720 in 15 hours. Not even at 1080, but I'm upscaling it from 1080 from the initial video to 2K.
Yeah.
because those extra pixels I'm feeding it make a difference. I get the output at 720. After that's done, I upscale it back to 1080, throw it into Premiere, do the whole color grading and make sure everything is pretty, and then it's off.
So if I counted correctly, that's 4 different apps.
Oh, and in the post-process, I also use the full version of DaVinci strictly for their deflicker function.
5, maybe 6. Probably, and you know what? Not even including the apps that you use to source from. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's YouTube Shorts. Like we're not even talking about those things yet. We're talking about what you see. And as someone who is a young gun too, but more impressive is, you said March is when
May. I've only really been doing this
for. This dude is like 2-3 months old, right? At least with that handle that we're talking about right now.
Sorry,
creatives. Or
May, June, July. Maybe I started just a couple weeks before May started, but I've only been really doing this for like 4 months. But it's been 4 months of every waking moment that I was not doing something else to make money during the day or sleeping was this. And when I say sleeping, that part got minimized because I've been up till 3 a.m. every night during this phase, wrapping my head around this stuff, because the nighttime is when I'm able to learn stuff.
What's going on in the day? Money-making activities?
In the day, I was editing videos for other small local social media businesses. I was editing wedding videos. I'm just
same here. I got you.
Doing the thing, and then 5 o'clock rolls around or somewhere around there. Sometimes maybe earlier, but that time till about 3 or 4 a.m. I was at it. I didn't go to bed until I was confident that when I woke up, there was going to be a good-looking video on the computer, even if it meant I sat up in my chair staring at the frames as they were being created till it was about 80% complete.
Do you use Kyber?
No. Fuck Kyber. Kyber.
What was that response for? Like,
because to people who are using the stuff that I use, Kyber is like, I'm trying to think what in the camera world. Okay, we edit professionally in DaVinci and Premiere, and then would you edit a documentary about your daughter that you've been shooting the footage of for the past 10, 15 years in CapCut? No, you wouldn't.
Gotcha. No, now you're speaking my language. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay.
Would you edit something you really care about in something that has been watered down and stripped down for the masses?
Only if the occasion called for it. And I do, my sort of marriage to perfection, or I wouldn't even say it, but like, I've just been okay with less and less better stuff if that deficit created by quality, let's say, if I take a deficit in quality, where's the plus going? And if that's in something like consistency or effectiveness or strategic use, then I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit more soft around the edges when it comes to that, like good video type of thing. But when you put it in those terms, like, I get it. You want to so if what you use is not Kyber, it's video, not video.
And look, that's not to say that something like Kyber is not going to get to the level.
Just
right?
like CapCut is a thing, right? So I get it.
Yes,
yeah.
but for that response was a little harsh off the bat. So I retract that.
Hey,
but look, I know Linkin Park did the Kyber music video and the whole thing. It looked cool. I get it. But it's, if you want maximum control over what you do, which creatives like us tend to, because we want to mold the thing so that the quality is what we expect from ourselves, you tend to need the software that can facilitate that.
So yours is, set the record straight, Topaz.
Topaz is just for the upscaling and for bringing quality back.
So it's just for upscaling.
The thing that I make all these crazy AI videos in, at least the videos where you see like the dancer and the AI is on them.
Yeah.
It's a Google Collab notebook called Stable Warp Fusion. It was coded by one incredibly intelligent guy who has a Patreon. You have to support him on Patreon
Shout
to
him
get.
out.
His name is Alex. I can't pronounce his last name, but if you just search up Stable Warp Fusion on Google, be warned, you need a beefy computer to run it. You will find the Patreon, and once you become a supporter, you can then download the notebook. And I personally think that no one should be using this thing for free, because this man has put in so much work to this thing, and it's literally single-handedly allowing the output of every insane AI video you see on social media right now.
That is a huge statement. Every insane AI, even the
only ones you're seeing that didn't come from it are the ones where, like, you saw where the guy will jump and then freeze and then it turns into the crazy AI thing.
Yeah, and it's like counterclockwise.
That's from something called Deforum, much more accessible. This is using the program is not for the faint of heart.
So who's got the IP on this then?
It's open source.
So it's just this guy that Alex. He's like, here's a code. You need a beefy computer to handle this, but it can do wonders. There's other people out there, I'm sure, who want to monetize it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you're saying like, oh, this site does this site does that, I'm thinking, well, are just these sites just license holders of someone else's IP that they then market and distribute?
And that's the
You know what I mean?
that's the funny area, that getting into the open source world. That's the, I think that a lot of these guys who are brilliant engineers and brilliant coders now have to find ways to protect their intelligent property while still being able to keep it open source, because that's inherently what they believe in, and that's what draws most people to this space.
To get the invite to those Discords, right? We're kind of on the same page as far as when it comes to that moment where you've opened Pandora's box or whatever you want to call it.
And I only got invited to the Discord that I'm a part of because of what my consistent output on Instagram was and what the quality of my videos were. And the guys in there saw that, okay, he's consistent, he puts out quality, we can bring him in. We all everyone is super cool. We all just mesh. And now I've literally, over the past 4 months, have hung out with these guys more than I've hung out with any of my real life friends.
In real life? Like in Hawaii?
No, in Discord. This group is literally spread all over the place.
I was like, and that's the beautiful part too, is now, the only reason I'm on Discord, there's so many rabbit holes we go through, but like AI to me, in my sort of creator's journey, if you will, was recent. And it came right around after like the buzz of NFTs died. And I felt this similarity between the two of like, this is a real niche thing. If I even say the word, I can cause this reaction, kind of like similar to what you had earlier, where it's like this side or that side. It's one of those polarizing things where you just drop down on the table and see where everybody goes to, right? Like this person wants to talk about it, this person does not want to talk about it. So it kind of came in that we're off the NFT thing now, but what's this new AI thing? And so it piqued my curiosity. I love creating, and I thought, again, efficiency wins. How's it going to help my workflow? And so that's why I got into these, the CapCuts of that world, the Kybers and all this other stuff, right? And I enjoyed it. I, again, do the test with the youngins because they're so open, right? There's just another crayon to them, basically. Play with them a little bit, let them use Midjourney, for example. Now there's not just text to image, but now there's image to video. Now there's creators like yourself that show up with just their own way to figure out. The way I think of it is like you're figuring out a problem. Like when you went back in like algebra class or something where like one problem takes up half the page. That's kind of what I see when I look at something like your account, when I'm like, this dude has put in, like when you said line, it's almost like coding. I see a lot of steps that led to this one spectacular thing that's on the front that we all see. But I'm like, what's even more spectacular is all the steps that led to that thing.
So I'm gonna be honest about something real quick. Up until I found this stuff and I dived into the point where I was forcing myself to learn it because I wanted to be able to output these things I had in my head. For the past couple years, as like an editor and as a videographer, I've been having a little bit of like some internal, like a few years ago, I tried to learn Blender. I tried to make the donut, right? The 3D donut. And that was so difficult for me. But the year prior to that, I had learned After Effects. I'm pretty good in After Effects. And After Effects is super complicated for a lot of people. But I was starting to question my ability to learn new things because of how hard I struggle with Blender, and that actually really messed with my head for a while because I've always considered myself a computer guy or a nerd or a technical person, and I'm constantly playing video games. I grew up on the internet, so I've considered myself a technical person, but struggling with Blender really kind of made me like go like, whoa, is this what you're like? I'm 34 now. Is this what my brain getting old feels like? Like, am I losing the capacity to learn new things? Is this how my mom feels when I'm trying to walk her through how to crop the photo on her iPhone?
That one hit home for a lot of us. Yeah.
To this day, my mom will still text me a photo and say, crop it here. I'm like, your phone can do it. And she's like, no, but just do it for me. You'll next time.
Oh, man. That would hit home. I love you, Mom.
Yeah, same. but no, it really messed with my confidence for a while.
Wow. What you described right there, I think a lot of us, because even if we like boil it down to something like the amount of exposure to, let's say, good photography today, something a little more accessible to more people, right? Mm-hmm. With all of these things, right? You could say, all right, I want to be a photographer. I'm going to go out and take photos. And your barriers are relatively low now. But if you say, all right, now I want to do weddings, engagements, first birthdays or something, whatever, then you're upping the order. And in order to do that next level thing, you need the next level tools. And oftentimes these are things like subscriptions. Now you might get Adobe Creative Suite. Mm-hmm. But when you do, you're going to be like, oh shit, wait, which one do I get? You're going to spend all this time on YouTube. You're going to download this. You're going to download this package. You're going to upload that. You're going to be like, wait, what's the difference between Lightroom and Photoshop? Why do I need Illustrator? What's a vector? Like, now you're doing all these other different things because you're like, I wanted to do mm-hmm. this. And if you just keep going, those hurdles kind of I feel like there was a point, like recently, you talk about the last year or so, your experience on Blender, like, boom, that was a wall for you, right? Mm-hmm. What the fuck? I'm a capable guy and I can't do this. I'm like, that's where I feel the biggest help from AI is coming. It's not going to be like a bulldozer. Just here, this wall in front of you is gone.
No, believe me, the wall is not gone.
It'll be like, here's a stool, or here's some like holes in the wall where you can like put this pin in, or here's a rope. It'll help you still get over the wall. And I feel like there's this balance right in that like you can't have zero stress, but you need just enough that you keep going. And so if it was too hard, it was just a little bit too hard, but it's still got to be difficult and new. There's still got to be this amount of things that you don't know.
Because you have to be proud when you get to the final result. If it's easy, then what's there to be proud of?
It's the game level. We talk about games. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to just finish. Let me figure it out. Let me fall in and like die in there, restart. But if it gets too high, which I feel now that's one of the better things about AI, is like it's bringing those barriers down a little bit or giving us a kick, like a little stool to step on to get over these barriers as we keep going.
So when I say how long it takes to make one of these videos, for a lot of people it's like, whoa, I didn't realize it takes that long, right? They just think button, boom, video, filter, whatever.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was making these dance videos in After Effects where I would track the individual points of like the people's hands or their fingers. And then I would, using a plugin, it would take those points that I tracked in the program and articulate geometry between the points. So then you get if they're tutting, you get this really cool.
Wait, on the Z-axis too? Or just XY?
No, it's a 3D.
Ooh.
3D. So you can pull it in and out and yeah.
Okay.
But so you would, wherever you place the points and you tracked it, you would get this really cool articulating geometrical shape that would then draw between all those points.
Gotcha.
That specific, very niche thing is what I learned After Effects to do. I saw a video with someone doing that. I went down the rabbit hole, figured out what I need to do that thing because I want to make a video. I know if I could learn that thing, I have ideas for that thing that I could make a video that looks completely different than his, but that's the thing that I need to do it. So I found After Effects. I dived in. It was frustrating as hell. I did it. Awesome. But then you want to make cooler videos that are harder for, if someone wants to copy me, they're gonna have to work this much harder to copy me. If you want to start putting your spin on it, and putting your spin on it usually comes with more hours.
Is that where, I want to hear your take on it. Is that the process you just described? Is that where uniqueness comes from?
I think so. When I started shooting dance videos, my entire career from right now to what I was doing in 2018 is when the end of 2018 is when I bought my first camera. I got a used Sony A7S off of eBay for $500.
Score.
Just to shoot dance videos. And then through shooting the dance videos, I was like, okay, I'm lucky because I'm a dancer. I know all the dope dancers here. I'm lucky I have access to them. Anybody who knows dope dancers can make the same type of videos I'm making. What effects can I put out? And then you start walking that path, which then if you keep going and you want, especially in today's like landscape with social, everything is so saturated. If you've seen it once, there are a million more things like it that you haven't seen yet. You need to find the way to set yourself apart. And what I think most people get wrong, and sometimes it eludes me too, is that the thing that sets you apart is usually going to lie in like just making the thing that you want to watch because you have your own taste. But we get so caught up in trending and trending audio, and this is the trend to the audio, and we got to make the thing to catch the algorithm to grow. And next thing you know, where did we end up where did our voice end up in all of that? Even if we make something cool, was it something that we really wanted to make?
Well, I'm curious for you now with this recent development in your life, like super recent, of you being a full-time AI creator. What I spoke about earlier of like every creative, I think we've kind of defined what creativity is, but like whoever's doing the act of creating something, there's the one that you're doing something towards because you want to, because you're interested in that's where the unique value comes in the whole saturated landscape of AI art and art at large, right? But what's unique to this artist, what's unique to this creator is that own creator's inquiry, curiosity, or maybe attempt at something. And so that then becomes like, who's making AI dance videos today? Tyler is one of many, but how many of them, like you said, were already in the world of dance, already had access to the dancers, already had a question, and then got this software and specifically tried to answer that very, very specific question. Like that is what is separating you from the others.
Here's what I think a lot of people need to understand about AI in general is, and I think most people haven't thought about it deeply enough yet to even realize this. But I think the AI is democratizing art and if you can get past the small technical hurdle with just to generate cool images, the hurdle's not that big. It's like one day, follow a tutorial on YouTube. You could get it set up on your computer, just follow the tutorial, right? It's not a big hurdle. What AI is doing in my eyes, especially as I'm scrolling through social media every day and just watching these things, is more so we have this technology now that can basically allow us to create whatever, to an extent, whatever we are envisioning. I feel like it's actually exposing how unimaginative and not creative most people are. because in this world where we now have this incredible stuff that all you have to do is think of something you've imagined that maybe hasn't been imagined before, and yet every time I'm scrolling through Instagram, there is another cyberpunk cyborg and another anime waifu. What are we doing?
The waifu gang, man.
Hey, look, I can't. You know, it's. I watch my anime.
We all do.
I don't have the body pillow.
There's levels. I get it. I get it. I think when this person that you describe, right, who might be a specific person you're thinking of, or just a more general archetype, that person is also the person who fears or has an aversion to AI. Like, I feel like if you say AI now, a lot of people, and you know, talk about a saturated area. Like, if you go on YouTube and just look at AI debates, right, you can go down that rabbit hole as long as you want, right? But one of the voices in that kind of realm of like, no AI, what's the common? Okay, let me ask you, as someone who's way more into it than me, like, what are the biggest objections to AI that you see personally, like when you're talking about it, hey, I'm a full-time AI artist personally, but then also at large, like in these rooms of the company that just decided to hire a full-time AI artist? Give us 2 levels of the biggest objections.
So personally, I think that it is still the argument that it's basically just pillaging and scraping artists' work, and there's nothing original about it, and it's for people who have no creativity and just want to press a button and get an instant result and not put in the time and energy to create something of their own. What I say to that is, look at the social media and just like the artistic world we now live in. A year and a half ago, I drew on a dance video for the first time. It was a 60-second video. I drew frame by frame with my Wacom tablet with the pen. And the final product, I'm not a drawer. I don't ask me to draw a circle. I can't. But I was so proud of that video. And it took me 90 hours from start to finish drawing on a 1 minute long video, frame by frame, that I was incredibly proud of. But after that, it gets chewed up and spit out in 48 hours max. And then no one sees it after that. It gets buried.
Yeah.
Take that, add on top working and doing all the stuff you got to do for 40, 50, probably even more hours than that a week if you're a freelancer like us. When is there time to sit down and create something like that in a reasonable amount of time? I've had so many ideas and so many things I've wanted to create over the past 2.5 years. But I couldn't justify dumping 100 hours I don't have into making something that, sure, I'll be proud of it and I'll be happy of it, but it's going to get discarded after 48 hours. I can't justify that. There's not enough hours in my day. Fast forward to now. I now have this software that literally anything I can think of, I can put on the screen. And I can now take that into After Effects before I put it in the AI and do like low-level After Effects, like motion track and add some assets, or just like do some really low-level VFX stuff. Take that and run it through the AI, and now those 2D assets I motion tracked on the footage, get the AI takes those shapes and builds it into it, and now it's part of it.
Hence, more uniqueness. Back to the earlier question, because a lot of people do think, and that's, I guess you could say that was your response to the personal way you handle objections, but like at large. Well, one of the things is that people think it's just pressing a button, and let's just kind of say like, no, it's not that simple. It's not just go for it, AI, and make something, as you've explained. So that's one of the bigger like misconceptions about AI.
I do think the bigger problem, aside from like, look, people in general, like sorry, I have to say it. People suck. We all know people suck. People outside of like our circle and the people we deal with in general, everyone can probably agree that people suck. Go on Reddit, you'll see it. People suck. But the larger issue probably is the argument about like the deep fake type of stuff. Because now in the stuff that I do, so there are two different things you use to create the artwork, right? There are models and there are LoRAs. Models are large data sets of photos, typically trained in like a certain general style, whether it's like 3D or watercolor or hyper-realism or anime, right? And then if you're using that model, whatever you type in prompt will be skewed towards that overarching style. There are plenty of models that people have trained. LoRAs are much smaller data sets that you use in conjunction with the model that are trained on very specific things. If I want all the people in this piece of art to be a specific anime character, I can go find a LoRA that's been trained on photos specifically of that anime character, and now every person in the artwork is going to be that character. That being said, remove the anime girl from it, and now you have people training LoRAs on celebrities and on likeness and on stuff like that. I did a music video for a large Egyptian R&B artist over the past month that I just wrapped, where the artist himself wasn't actually in the music video. They had a stand-in as the main dancer. I brought in one of my friends who is a genius at training models. We gathered a data set of this guy's photos from online and high quality photos they gave us. We trained a LoRA on his likeness, and I made the stand-in look like him.
Gotcha. Is LoRA an acronym, or how do you spell that?
LORA.
So
it's an acronym, but it's something larger, overarching that's way above my intellectual pay grade. So it's machine learning stuff.
LoRA and models.
Yeah.
And you can train a LoRA to, for example, get more specific and then apply that data set, a model. So
there are LoRAs for Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
So you could take an anime model and use the Snoop Dogg LoRA, and then you're going to get some weird anime version of Snoop.
Stepping on all kind of ethical boundaries. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, that is a larger argument. I guess we kind of got there. But like rights, money, especially if you're now trying to make a product or you're monetizing in some way, shape, or form. You said likeness. Like, okay, well, can you do it with dead people then? Or is there a state involved? Or is, you know what I mean? Like, I get how we see the deep fakes or even what you're describing with this Egyptian artist. And we just know it's the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. These computers get beefier and stronger every year.
Every
right?
6 months.
Every less than a year, right? So more and more doors are opening. Mm-hmm. So then the question, I think the real fear there is that kind of what you said earlier, like it kind of exposes like, well, what do you think about when you don't have to think about this? What now? It sounds like you have no shortage of things to put into whatever tool is there for you. Like you have this vault in your head of ideas that you want to work on, that you want to squeeze through whatever tools in front of you. But not a lot of people have that kind of like vault backed up. Mm-hmm. In fact, it might be just so much into the 9 to 5 or mm-hmm. whatever kind of pattern and lifestyle they've got, that is what the horizon is. Whereas what the real fear of AI is like, poof, the horizon is just gone. Mm-hmm. And that kind of feels, that's like being out at sea. When the first time you're out at sea and you're on a boat and you look 360 and you don't see land. Mm-hmm. Like that kind of feeling. I think that's what I kind of interpret the fear as at large. Whereas, we're biased because like we're into it. We love it. Mm-hmm. We have ideas that we just want better, faster tools to mm-hmm. express. Now, it's great that you found a way that you can do it and fulfill like your provider role, which is dope. And, you know what I mean? Like that must be props to you. props to everybody who's like on their way. It's not quite that Tyler stage yet, but like it's picking up gems from this conversation. Like
I'm still on my way, but it feels like
definitely in Hawaii, man. Like I haven't met another full-time AI artist in Hawaii.
Up until literally 2 nights before this whole thing happened, because this wasn't like a job thing that was cooking.
It just came to you.
This was me having a meeting with the guys who were the heads of this website to discuss something totally different. They were looking to work with me in some capacity as like a affiliate or like a sponsor or something. And just through that conversation, as I was looking at their socials, I was like, wait, why do you guys have no, like, what? What? You have, there's like 60,000 people in the Discord. What?
And there's just,
and then that it just happened. That same night, I sent them a business proposal, and I just.
So what is a 12-month update, a successful 12-month update look like?
A successful 12-month update looks like at least 100,000 followers on their socials, and me in the exact same place doing the exact same thing.
What about for you though? For personally, J Boog then?
Man, that's a good question, because when Facebook just today, Facebook showed me, on the timeline, the 1 year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. 2 years ago, I was a completely different person, and my aspirations were. If you told me this is what I'd be doing now, even 7-8 months ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
That is a huge takeaway, I think, for people who feel stuck.
It happens like that, and at least for me, I've been very over the past 4 years, and there's too much stuff that I like keeping private off of social, but it has been a rough 4 or 5 years. Both me and my girlfriend, we have been through our largest ups and downs together, not in our relationship. Our relationship has been rock solid throughout everything. Thank God, because in my mind, that's the one thing that shouldn't be causing you any turmoil in your life, is like the relationship should be like the solitude from all the other stuff.
Should be a plus.
Yes.
Fill up the tank.
It shouldn't, it shouldn't be taking even more gas from you. No. But from the month that I started doing these videos every day, what that looked like was me sitting at my computer, editing anywhere from 7 to 8 hours a day, and then staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning to make sure I got that video done to post the next morning at 8. And by the time 4 months of doing that had passed, like, it took me 4 years of grinding with my camera to get my Instagram from 1,000 to 10,000 followers, just with the dance videos.
4 years, 10K. Okay.
4 years from 1,000 followers, which was how many followers I had just from all the years of Instagram actually being a social photo app.
Gotcha.
Right? That to 10,000, which is what I had 5 months ago now.
Okay.
That took me 4 years of making dance videos. In the first 2 months of doing the AI stuff, I got to 20,000. I just doubled
in 2 months.
In 2 months, what I did in 4 years. And so, okay, I'm feeling all this momentum. And because all this stuff is so new, everyone I talk to that's doing the AI videos and that's into AI, no one really, like, some people have a vision of where they want it to go, but no one really knows, like, where all the momentum's going to take them. I certainly didn't know, but I was getting very burnt out. And I was stretched very thin, and I was probably even getting like borderline depressed, because it got to a point where I was working on a couple paid AI projects. I was still doing my regular editing during the whole day, now trying to also balance the paid AI stuff, which requires an insane amount of attention to detail, especially for like music videos. And now I was having no time to even squeeze out the personal video for my socials. So my momentum kind of stopped, but I still felt momentum, but I didn't know where it was going. And I broke down one night. I said to my girlfriend, I was like, I don't know how much longer I can do this thing that I'm doing right now. I know, I feel like like something has to happen from all this, right? Like these past couple months, all this, these people that have been hitting me up, like all this stuff I'm doing, like something has to happen. What can I do with this? Because I was waking up every morning and not enjoying what I was doing again. And that is something I told myself I was never going to do ever again after I left my last 9 to 5.
And here you were. You got the result. You got some verification, though.
2 days later is when that conversation happened with those guys.
With the one you just... they thought they just wanted some videos, and then you said, wait a minute.
And then...
What's your socials?
And then the next day, I had a job offer.
Bruh. That kind of sounds like a book waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? That is, though.
I can't make it up, but it was literally 2 nights before that was probably at my lowest I felt creatively and job-wise and everything, because it's like there were a couple weeks there where I just like had zero fun, like zero fun.
Do you have any kind of hacks, productivity hacks on your desk, on your work desk, or something that when it's like hour 9 and you're like, fuck, I still have at least 4 hours left? Like, do you have anything, a song, a ritual, exercise, anything?
When there are like 2 times during the day that I gauge how I'm feeling at that time, and my like will to go on is breaking at one of those 2 times. It's either earlier in the morning or around 4 or 5 o'clock. If I feel good at the early time, which is somewhere between like 9 and 10, because I usually start editing around like 6 or 7
a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then whichever one of those times I'm really feeling it at, that's workout time. I have a whole bunch of kettlebells at home. I have a weighted jump rope. I go right outside. If I'm not throwing a kettlebell around or hitting the weighted jump rope, I put on a hoodie and I go run 3 to 5 miles.
Just right around Diamond Head.
I go down into Waikiki, and that's also my like, just seeing people and seeing the ocean and stuff. That's my reprieve from my computer.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all know what it's like to stare at something in front of your face for hours, and then you like see. Do you see the mountaintop?
There's a difference between man, a lot of people are like, the kids now at their video games and their computers, and they don't go outside and play and whatever. Maybe it's an age thing because I'm like 34. Yeah. But if anything, while I love my computer, that is number 2 to my girlfriend and my parents, like, and my family. That's like my computers are my babies. Let's get that straight. I don't have kids, but I imagine if I did, the computers would be crying. Like that's the only thing that could be any different. I appreciate the beautiful place we live in now even more than I did before I was into all this stuff, because when I actually get to go outside and just be with myself for a minute, I appreciate everything I'm looking at now in a way that I didn't when I was just always.
Would it be fair to say that it's because when you're immersed, like for your work, computer, not just the actual physical environment of like being indoors, probably with all this artificial light, probably like you sitting on a chair, probably a better chair than this, but like that versus literally being able to smell the ocean water, seeing the waves, hearing birds, trees, mountains, clouds, maybe rainbows in the afternoon, whatever the case, like those environments are very different. But also I think maybe even you could say the side of the brain, if you subscribe to the left-right theory, right? Mm-hmm. One is very, very much immersed in this technical, like you said, it's like coding. Mm-hmm. And I stare at sliders all day too. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Numbers, sliders, files. I have like in my head, I was describing to my friend, like the idea of like a memory castle, mm-hmm. where you build a castle with memories. I was like, I kind of have something like that, but for folder structure. Just because of how much shit that we have to store, and then how quickly we need to be able to access it. It's like, I just got to know my file structure, like the back of my hand, but you're locked in that mode for hours at a time. And then you can like, boom, step outside and be in a completely different, like, almost feels like a switch of perception, because I'm thinking of all these things that are actually not tangible. Think about file locations. I'm thinking about sequences. I'm thinking about cuts. And then I can go out in somewhere that has very tangible things like the ocean, the wind, people, voices. Like, it's just a switch for me that I would say, I've experienced it in Portland and Japan as well, but like, are you from Hawaii? Like, you just live?
I'm born and raised on Maui.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as well then.
But I have definitely traveled enough to know how small and isolated Hawaii is in the grand scheme of things.
It's crazy, right? So Maui then, and then Oahu.
Yep.
What's your favorite beach on Oahu?
Oh, dude, I'm simple. I've literally less than 5 minutes from my front door is
Kaimana.
Kaimana, yeah, exactly. That's yeah. I don't need to.
You saw the lady get bit by the seal. That was.
I'm never around for when that stuff happens. I'm never around when that stuff happens.
I shouldn't laugh. But where do you draw the line from, like, sourcing your material? Because I know there's a lot of creators who can like pull from things like that.
Almost 100% of the AI people just pull the videos from Instagram.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I know you're a dancer, so it's something that is personal to you. A lot of it. I mean, how do you select what to work with?
So, okay, I am very conflicted in how I feel about this, because as not only a dancer, but as also a filmmaker
from Maui.
We don't even got to pull Maui into it. But just as a dancer and a filmmaker, I don't want my stuff used without my permission and without proper credit given to me. And even if proper credit is given to me, I would still be a lot more respectful and receptive to that if I was at least asked first before you turn me into whatever the hell you're going to turn me into. So my process, well, you notice that on my page, up until recently, almost everything is a collaboration.
Yeah.
Most of those people reached out to me. The first couple AI videos was me reaching out to my circle of dancers that I had worked with previously, or relationships that I already had formed, and that kicked it off. But I did not want to just pull random videos from online. Now I'm a little bit more flexible with that, because we live in a content machine. We just do. And if you put something online, you have to understand that there is a certain amount of liberty of like the amount of ownership you really have over that anymore. That is just the world we live in now.
Ownership. Those waters are muddy as fuck.
Very muddy.
Especially now with the tools, right?
Mm-hmm. So
you can, the most recent one I'm thinking of is the soccer juggling chick. I don't know if they weren't speaking English.
I'm pretty sure she was Colombian.
Yeah, okay. And so I was thinking, oh, he likes soccer too, or maybe it's his Women's World Cup right now. Like, is there somewhat of like I would say, what percentage in is I like that, I'm gonna do something with that because I can see it, and or I'm gonna shoot it with my friends, versus people coming to you be like, hey, I got this video, or this is my account.
If it was up to me, and if we didn't have to play the algorithm game, I would only do the AI stuff to videos that I'm able to shoot with my camera. Because those would honestly, to me, be the dopest videos, because then I'm doing it from beginning to end. I want to do it from front to back.
And what's the best settings for what you do? 4K, 120, what like?
I would say 4K, 30, 1/100 on Shutter, because you just take away enough of the motion blur, but you keep enough of the realism, and you're not giving yourself double the frames to edit.
So you're literally editing every frame.
So, okay, when you see one of these AI videos, the program isn't reading it as a video. It's not a video. When you upload the video to this notebook, it breaks the video apart into individual frames or images, and then it creates these optical flow maps across the images, and the AI draws in parts to like where it feels like it has to pay extra attention to keep it consistent. And that process is called in-painting. But as the AI, so like it's going to take the first frame of the video and based on your prompt and your settings, generate the image over it. And there are these other things that are involved in the process called control nets. There are a bunch of different types of control nets. You have to pick which ones you use and when, because they're for different things. Some of them work better at just tracing straight lines. Some of them do really well at getting like, they put like a stick figure over the body to figure out this is a person. Mm-hmm. Some of them literally trace every little individual line in the whole scene. As good as that sounds, sometimes it could make the AI go too crazy with the details. So you need to pick and choose what control nets you want to use. You have to give them certain weights and decide which ones get distributed more. The more control nets you use, the more your GPU is going to hate you.
Yeah.
But it's taking the art it puts on the very first frame of the video, and then for each subsequent frame all the way to the very end of the video, it's trying its hardest to match that next frame with the first frame. And that's how the style gets consistency.
So there's no gimbling videos that you're going to put through that. It's always a steady shot, one direction.
You can do gimbling videos. There's things you have to keep in mind when you shoot that kind of stuff for it, because there are still, as amazing as the technology is, there are still a number of technical limitations you have to go through. Like when I was working on this Egyptian music video, when they shot the video, they streamed to me through a private live stream on YouTube through the camera it was being shot on. And I was in WhatsApp giving them feedback on what to do and what not to do.
Like what? Camera movement limitations?
So first of all, the guy was moving way too fast. I told them this is not a normal music video. He needs to slow down the camera, and the shots need to start close up, and then he can pull back, but not vice versa. The subjects need to be in the entire frame at the beginning of the shot.
Got it. Because when you said every frame, the program is then trying to match it to the first frame. I'm like, well, what if the middle and end are different than the beginning? You know what I mean? Like if we start here on this tunnel and then we end up outside on a hill, like in 45 seconds.
It's trying to match the style, not the image. It's trying to match the style of the first frame. So the colors, the items, the things you prompted in.
Got it. Composition? Oh, I guess that's up to the actual raw video.
Yeah, that's up to the video.
I see. What about then color grading? Because you said DaVinci, but you only use it for...
I only use DaVinci to deflicker because I am fast in Premiere.
Gotcha.
And every professional project I have worked on, every paid project I've worked on where I've had to collaborate with other editors has always been Premiere. So I have had no reason to invest the hours into DaVinci yet.
Even though you know...
Even though I know, but I just, look, if I understand what DaVinci does color-wise, I like my color grades. It's easy.
So are you shooting in log too? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing all that for whatever you're shooting, but the reality is people come to you with videos or with their accounts.
And they're usually iPhone videos.
Cool, because for some reason I'm like, some kid like this, New York, Fifth Ave, somewhere, like, I don't know.
You have 1.5 million followers and you cannot get someone with a camera to shoot the video for you? What are we doing?
Well, they got that 1.5 with an iPhone 8. I mean, props to them, right? With an iPhone 8 and CapCut.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's how videos come to me, and they are annoying.
So
but
you have to put it through all those upscale, downscale.
And that's where the pre-process comes in.
But those are videos that, let's say, come to you, not the ones that you're like, I want to do that.
The ones that I select I want to do, like the one I posted this morning, the breakdancer with the train behind him.
Yeah.
I selected that last night. Video quality, mwah.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a little nebulous because he could have been cropped in a little bit more, but I needed the effect of what that particular videographer did with the slow motion and everything.
I love that. Yeah, because I checked when you always credit everyone. So like I checked the original one and I was like, ooh, that was clean.
Yeah. His name is Mak Otomi from Japan. He's like the Japanese branch of the production team I work with in street dance called Stans.
Damn. Okay. So there was some connection there.
Yeah.
So even in the selection process, it's like unique to you, or at least I just want to make sure that people get the point. Like it's not just some dude who's pressing buttons on this program, making these videos. Like there's a lot more to it, and there's a personal part to it, a personal touch, and I think like given the fact that this has been what 4-ish, well, wait, say late April, so it's August now. Let's just say 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
You've more than doubled your following. You've got a new job opportunity, and this is just in 4 months. And this is like 2 days after your lowest low.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a story of inspiration for a lot of creators out there, because not a lot of creators get to that point. One of the peaks, like let's not say it's the last one either, but like this is a great moment, right? And on that creative journey, when you're gigging, it's rough. You don't see it. You don't see it all the time. Now in Hawaii, to bring it back like to the roots, I guess where we're from, like I didn't even like. Let's be real too. This is my first time meeting you in person, in real life, right? And so I knew the digital footprint. And we all know that as creators, like that can be manipulated to match whatever narrative you want.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a sort of skepticism that we hold, right? But being a creator in Hawaii as well, I feel like what the lane that you're in, borders don't even matter. And that's what I love about it.
So here's my other issue, okay? I'm born and raised on Maui, right? I, by all stretches of the word local, am local. I was born and raised on Maui. We lived up on Haleakala. My parents owned a clothing store in Makawao. That was like, for the years that they had it there, my parents were staples in that community during those years. And I've always kind of been in this place where I've never felt local enough to like really consider myself local, or to like you know, just I have always felt super haole, if that makes sense. But no, you know, there are definitely, and I'm sure this is true of any place you live. I am sure it is true of any place you live, but it is very easy to feel like you are being boxed out a little because you're not in the you're not friends with the right people, or you don't have that the thing that everyone else bonds over.
Human nature, groups.
Yeah.
I get it. There's some in and out.
I had to find ways to be able to do what I love with editing and filming and circle that boxed out nature I was feeling to be able to do this stuff and not have to work a droning 9 to 5. And that to me came in the realm of remote editing work. So almost all of the work I've done consistently that has paid the majority of the bills has been remote up until these past couple months. And then I worked, I was editing wedding videos for a pretty long time, and that was like my stable thing for the past year. And that was fun, just long-term, not something I aspire to really do, you know? But yeah, I don't want to live anywhere else other than Hawaii. I'm well-traveled enough, and I've been to enough different countries and enough different places to know that there is something special about this place.
I'm curious, what made you feel like you were like haole growing up? Was it Maui? Or like
well, okay. The specific like high school I graduated from is like very local, like very, very local. And I was, you know, freshman to senior year, I'm like shortest kid in the class. I'm a multitude of things, but I'm white, and
I get it.
Also, I'm like hardcore into hip hop. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I was
that
like,
should bring you together with some of these groups. Come on.
nah. It was I just high school wasn't very fun for me.
Was it like, oh, if you weren't paddling, doing hula, or playing football, you weren't cool?
100%.
Basically.
100%.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, Oahu, and I only went to Maui and Big Island during, like, I grew up playing soccer. So that's how I know this island of Oahu is by the parks that we had to go to, right? You know, and then obviously the high schools, because that's Hawaii. What high school you went? What year, right?
Yep.
And so like the high schools that we played games at, but also the fields that we played all the other league games at. And then to like Baldwin, for example, big soccer school over there on Maui, and then Big Island. So it's always like school or soccer related, my traveling. But even in that, I felt like, oh, there's a difference between Oahu and Maui.
Bro, and sorry.
No,
go
but
on.
as someone from Maui and now living on Oahu, what is the biggest change you think?
So the job I was working on Maui had offered me relocation to Oahu to run like a busier location. And I jumped at that in a heartbeat because I was like, okay, this is how I'm getting out of here. This is let me go. And when I moved here, and I think I was like 22, 23 when I moved here. I'm 34 now. I feel like that is when my life actually started. Like
23, you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like here I had friends who were also into street dance and into popping specifically, which is what I do. I had like a solid, close, tight-knit group of friends that were also dancers. After work, we would go do street shows in Waikiki together. And just like, and then even like my dating life, like up until I left Maui, I never had a girlfriend. And then I moved here and I'm like, oh, I'm not like a cripple. Like what? Like, sorry, that was a wrong choice of words. But no,
you felt like the outsider, but then I think it's just also a numbers game and like, what can you do on this island versus that island? And here, especially where you live or townside, right? Like, there's things to do outside of your normal work.
Yeah.
Or if you're a student outside of school, or if you're working outside of work, outside of both, there's things that you could like, there's chance for serendipitous meetups.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I wasn't planning to meet you, or you guys are over here, great. Let's like, there's that opportunity and chance there just by sheer numbers of things to do and people as well. And I think within that, you have the strongest, for example, hip hop breakdancer community. If you're into hip hop breakdancing in Hawaii, you're probably going to want to be here.
Yep.
Right?
There's it literally, as much as I tried to do, like I tried to have popping classes and I tried to hold practice sessions and I tried to do everything I could on Maui, and it just never caught. And I was like, okay, even just for like my creative side, which at the time was only dancing. Like I said, I didn't pick up a camera until 2018. Just for that reason and that part of me alone, like I had to get out of there.
What movies for hip hop do you enjoy? Like, you know, it doesn't have to be top 3 or anything, but like,
my parents, when I was little, and this wasn't even what made me want to do it. It just so happened that I watched this movie over and over because I thought it was the coolest thing when I was younger. Like my parents had a VHS copy of Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. And like now I understand how legendary everything going on in that movie is.
Oh man. Bro, I need to show my kids that. What other movies? Because I feel as someone who creates movies, film, visual art, what well are you pulling from?
Okay, to be honest, I'm like the movie that I've probably watched more repeatedly in the past couple of years than anything else is Dune.
Wait, which one? Dave Fincher one?
No, the newer one. The newer Dune. Like
the new one's coming out in November.
So, and this kind of leads back into stuff that I want to do with AI that I just haven't had the time to bring to fruition yet. Because I don't want to just do like 30-second dance videos, you know, and I have ideas, but I need time to go out and shoot, prepare all the footage, edit it, do the whole thing before I even get to the AI part. But I'm really big on the vibe and how things make me feel.
What did you like about Dune?
Just the aesthetic of the whole thing. Like, it looks like such a scary place, but that is the aesthetic I want to live in. Like, that the whole aesthetic and the vibe and the feeling of the movie, from the colors to the sound to the just everything about it. Like, that is what in my head, my day-to-day vibe is moving through.
Bro, have you ever, well, I guess talk about copyrights, but like you could, if you wanted to, you could take Duncan, Idaho, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you could turn a fight scene into an AI if you wanted to, but
I could. It's just I'm trying, especially like right now, as far as personal content goes, I'm backing off of collaborations a bit, because I noticed that when I post things solo, it doesn't really get shared out. So I'm trying to break that by posting solo stuff every day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I want to make stuff that I'm really proud of and that I like. I want to get back for a little while in these couple months and collaborating with people. Like, the collaborations are cool. I'm thankful for every person that's collaborated with me, but there were more than a few videos where I feel like I kind of lost sight of what I wanted to make and what I was passionate about.
Which is longer, full length.
Not even longer full length, just the vibe and the aesthetic and the source material, just stuff that fits me more.
I did really, really love the world building aspect of that Dune, because it felt like a world that I could, that it didn't feel too far off. Even though I know we're in space, it's like sandworms and shit like that. But like, I know it's not real, quote unquote real, but it felt real. And that's what I loved about all those scenes where, like, you first arrive on Arrakis, for example, and then it's like you got those really wide shots where your main character is just this big in the frame, and you can see a lot of different faces and architecture and weather, like those kind of establishing shots of a new world. Star Wars does it, like in a bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, every movie has that version. And those scenes, I felt like the most I was there. That could be props to the editor, everybody involved, obviously. The music, oh man. But like, getting into something that, let's say, impactful, that huge of a project like a Dune, to me, I think it starts with ideas. And it sounds like you have no shortage of them. It's just maybe a shortage of time to commit to them, but like, you have them. And so I'm looking forward to how these tools around us just let us tap into that even more every single day. You talk about like lifting kettlebells. For me, it's like I'll just go on a walk. I guess we can both walk to an ocean, right?
Exactly.
So like,
thank God.
Yeah. I'll just walk too, but I'll take with me over there. You can, it's a little recorder. And I just, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll just go for a 20-minute walk. 2 hours later, I got a 2-hour recording of me ideating out loud to myself.
That's a really good idea.
But imagine though, if this recorder, which records on a mini SD, it's a little Zoom, whatever model thing, $100, something, right? What if that tool was different? And what if it wasn't something I needed to put in AAA batteries, and it was something that was just hands-free? It was something that not only transcribed everything I was saying, but it also then attached it to imagery, possibly even dig into my 17 terabytes just of the last 4 years of footage that maybe I've tagged. And maybe I ran something through the 17 terabytes worth of footage where it can go and say, these are all wide shots, these are all aerial shots, these are all shots in winter, these are all shots in summer, these are all shots, a medium shot of a subject profile shot. And I just labeled everything in there. So now when I'm going outside and I'm just taking this walk and just spitting this brainstorm out, I can come home and I can almost watch. Like, I spoke and edit into life based on things that I already had.
It is coming.
I know, but it's not here.
The metaverse is coming.
Is that what it is?
That is what it is. Pretty soon, right now, like, I'm tripping out that my entire workday is in Discord. So now my work is in the same place where right next door are my friends. And all day long, I'm hopping back and forth between work conversations in a voice channel called the office or the lab or the art department to another Discord where my friends are discussing what new crazy AI stuff they're toying with today. And in 1 second, I'm able to go back and forth between those two things. And that is what my workday now looks like. While I'm sitting there working and editing whatever content I'm preparing for work.
Right.
Pretty soon, that Discord environment is going to be, first it's going to be a headset, then it's going to be glasses, then it's going to be something else.
Just non-wearable something.
We're reaching the point of personal opinion, I think we are ramping up to the exponential curve part of where all this stuff is going to go and how quickly it's going to continue to get better and better.
Better and better, you say?
Yeah. I mean, better and better from a technological standpoint. I understand like the social implications of it and how it could damage relationships, but I also understand how it could improve relationships. Before I was in this Discord server with all these incredible AI artists, and these are people that work in all different areas of AI. Before I was doing that, because I was dedicating just as much time to all this stuff and working, it was just me in the house with my girlfriend, not really seeing my friends because there's this thing that I'm working on, but now I have all these other friends so now I have the same work output, and now I have all the camaraderie too.
Bro, so not only does this kind of job, if you want to call it a job, this kind of opportunity exists such that it, borders mean nothing, right? Mm-hmm. It's more a collection. Now, what are the groups of people? Again, back to the human nature. Mm-hmm. We're going to group together. We want that. We long for that. Mm-hmm. Instead of it being arbitrary lines on a map or whatever it says on your passport or wherever you're born, now it's, what do you do? What can you do? What have you done? What can you add to this conversation going on? Mm-hmm. Those kind of things. Man, it could be 4 people in a Discord, or it could be 4 million people.
So here's my issue now that I have been wrestling with for the past, since I started the AI stuff, is the overwhelming amount of people that want value that offer nothing in return. I have
Give me an example.
People, I can't tell you how many DMs I've just ignored from people just straight up asking me if they can have my settings file for this particular video.
Do you just ghost them? Like, do you even...
Most of the time I ghost them. One day I was feeling extra cheeky and my response was literally, LOL, no. And his response was...
Why, bro?
Was WTF, why?
Did you even entertain that?
No. Okay. Then I ghosted him. But no, there are a lot of people in this world of now open source everything that feel like everything should be given. While even though everything is there for you to learn and to use, the skill set still needs to be earned.
Can't say that enough. There's this almost expectation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, hey, let me do it. Tell me how you did it. Give me the breadcrumbs. And I think that's something that me and Aloha talk about a lot, which, by the way, before this, I talked to Aloha, I talked to my other friend, Justin, and I told him, yo, I got Tyler coming in. Give me some questions. So some of the stuff that I had in my head today is coming from my conversation with them as content creators themselves as well. But the thing that this just made me think about was this expectation that people think, if I have what he has, I can do what he does. And no, you can't. I could give you Tiger Woods golf bag and his caddy. Go. You're not gonna do the same thing. Why would you be able to be here? I'll give you all of this. And you know what's funny? I actually did. I gave someone this blueprint of this studio. They wanted to do it. They didn't. Because it's not enough to just have the stuff. It's the hours of using it and the hours of failing.
Yeah, I definitely talk about the provider side.
But what do you think? Like, so when people, hey, oh man, let me just get your setting. Let me get your playbook. That's disrespectful as a creator. But
I spend hours on tweaking the prompt to get it to look a certain way. Some people might think that's corny because I didn't draw the lines or I didn't color the book. Well, challenge you to see how creative your words are. Like and it goes to show you that a lot of people, when most of the time when they're asking for your settings in regards to what I do, the numbers are one thing. There's some sauce in the way I arrange numbers that I know not everyone else is doing it. But they want your prompt.
One thing I really like about Midjourney is the publication they put out every month, I think. And it's just a collection of images made by its users, but they have the prompts to it. And I felt like that's cool because like anybody who's starting, it's like, what do I say?
Yeah.
I need something to go up. Like even if I started drawing, doing graffiti and all that stuff, but at the very beginning of it was me copying Spider-Man comic books. So I had something to copy literally until I got to the point where I didn't need the comic book and I could still draw a Spider-Man. Maybe I'll draw him instead of like, there's no tall buildings like that in Hawaii. So maybe I'll just do off the tree or something. You know what I mean? Like now you get into that point and that process is what people think they can just skip over. But that's actually where the juice is in that process of doing it the way you see as something that you're drawn to.
So here, another thing that's bothered me about a lot of these videos I see on the AI side of things is that, you know, they'll take someone that is African American and the AI they put on them makes them white or makes them Japanese. Now, I feel like if I took a video of a white guy and turned him into a black guy, like what's any different from that being from between what's different between that and blackface?
I see what you're
saying. It might as well, like it could be considered digital blackface, literally. And so for all of there's been videos that I've done where there's one I did for my homie Kang, who from the Future Kings in Vegas. I've done a few things with him now where, you know, he was in the video and his girlfriend, Dido, is in the video. He's African American. She is as pale can be.
Okay.
I'm making the video and the AI does not like when there are, let alone a male and a female, because it wants to just make them both the same thing. It especially doesn't like when they are different skin colors and they are different. And I am sitting there, I'm like, this man has like 600,000. He has, I don't know if it's 300 or 600. He has a lot of followers. Yeah. He has a lot of reach. And I was like, I am not about to send him a video where she is black. And that is what it kept trying to do.
Wait, so what amount of control when you're prompting in the process do you have? And just so we're clear, like I did ask her to bring the computer so we could show it, but we might have to just say that for another time, just for technical. My Wi-Fi is too slow. At the end of the day, my Wi-Fi is too slow. Can't hire I don't have a long enough Ethernet cable either. So
we'll do it again.
We won't do that. Again. But I wanted to see a piece of this multiple hour long.
The prompt is like a bucket of water. There's only so much water it can hold before it starts to overflow. And then some of the water spills out and you can't drink it. So the stuff in the beginning of the prompt gets the most priority. And then as you get deeper into the prompt, stuff starts to be a little bit more, maybe this will be in there. You also have to leave room for not just the actual, like, the thing that you want them to be, or like the stuff you want to describe, but you also need to leave room for highly detailed, best quality, raw photography, shot on Fuji XV100, shot on whatever. You need to leave room for all that stuff. And the program that we do this in requires more prompting than something like Midjourney. Midjourney is so popular and like they have such a good system because you can feed it just a few words and get a really stunning result. Stable Diffusion, for the most part, is not like that at all.
So you need a bigger bucket for Stable Diffusion, or?
No, Stable Diffusion, I feel like actually has a smaller bucket, but you need a bigger, you need to have a bigger selection of words in your vocabulary to properly explain and describe the thing you want.
That's the IP.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what this guy is asking for in the DMs. Mm-hmm. You can't get that, homie. Right? Like, to come up with the prompts to input. And then how much, like, I guess that leads to, like, when you fill up the bucket, there's a point where you let go. There's a handoff. Mm-hmm. Here you go, program. Right?
Man, that video I was describing, it got to, like, because her part wasn't until, like, she didn't come in until, like, 3/4 the way into the video. So now I get through the entire first 3/4 of the video. I'm on the last quarter. The camera switches to her. And now I'm stopping it and constantly changing the prompt and then restarting it from the frame right before she comes in on and watching if she still turns into a black girl. Yes. And that last, I don't know, that last 5 seconds of the video took me 5 hours before I got it to a point where I was like, this I like.
Because you have to hand it off, and whatever they spit back, whatever it spits back at you, you're looking at.
Well, you can watch it go frame by frame if you want.
I see.
And that's what I like to do. But it took that long because I care about those kind of details. I don't, if the guy in the video is Asian, if I'm not turning him into a zombie or something, I would like him to still resemble an Asian person. Gotcha. If the girl is Middle Eastern, I would like her to resemble a Middle Eastern girl and not a Japanese anime girl. I want to be respectful, especially in this day and age, of people's backgrounds and their cultures and all that kind of stuff. And I also want to show that you can still be respectful and sensitive to that kind of stuff with this technology.
So you're not, and it's also giving credit in one way, shape, or form of also, this is the person, right? Mm-hmm. The dancer, the soccer player, whoever, the musician, like, this is their real face. Mm-hmm. I like how a lot of your videos are like, there's a blend of, now we're in AI world, now we're in.
I try to have something at some point go in and out, because as like a dancer, I you know, even though the real video for this exists somewhere, maybe someone watching it doesn't see that real video, and their first contact with that person is now my video. I want that person to be seen because I recognize I couldn't make this cool thing without what they did. So I want them to be seen too. And also, if I blend them into the process like that, because there's been people where I've wanted to use their video, I send them a DM first to ask, I wait 2 or 3 days, no response, as what happens with social media. Okay, my conscience is cleared. I asked, I'm still going to tag them, give all the credit. I'm going to tag them in the story. When I post it in the story, I'm going to do the whole thing. And the video isn't going to disrespect them in any way. So my conscience is clear. Mm-hmm. You know, I want the people behind the video to be seen. I don't want it to just be the AI.
Has there been a time when the AI has surprised you?
Every day. like you can tell it what you want, and you never quite know what it's going to throw at you. Like, how it's interesting how it interprets things that it's just like if I try to describe, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, there have been times where I was getting too many extra body parts, or like the frame was just really messed up, and it had nothing to do with the settings. And I had to really relook at what I was asking it. So like I was trying to I would try to describe someone whose full body is in the image as like one man full body portrait. But in saying that, while that helps sometimes, if at any point that guy is not taking up enough of the frame, it's going to make one man with a full body in the sky behind him.
I see.
And sometimes you'll look at that and you'll be like, oh, I don't know why that guy's appearing. I'm saying there's only one man in it, and it's his full body, and there's only one guy in the video, and you can see his full body. So I don't know why it's doing that, but no, it's doing it because it's not reading. He's too far away now, so now it's actually creating that.
The composition changed such from, like, let's say a medium to a wide.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's like, wait, where'd the guy go? Here he is in the sky.
Yep.
Which kind of, when you said optical flow, right, earlier?
Yeah.
It breaks it down into optical flow. So I'm thinking of a time that I tried to describe a frame, but like, if I'm not a coder, but I imagine what codes, red, green, blue, numbers, right? That's essentially what pixels are. So I was like, how can I like break down a frame, not only in just like along the XY, but like the time axis too, because now as video, like that's the difference, right? Video and photo is time, basically. So now we've got this continuation of images. And so how can I like write out what I'm seeing in a frame? And, you know, I didn't have an answer, but what I ended up making was sort of like a grid, a matrix, and like different compositions of subjects, different angles, camera to the subject, but also composition. So like every angle of the subject also has like a extreme close, medium, wide, extreme wide kind of thing. And so now you just got this huge grid of ways to start. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of ways to start and break down and describe a image. And then in that, okay, now let's add time. Fuck, that's where I kind of got stuck, because how am I going to add time? And then you have to have space, because that's camera movement. So if I wanted the beginning of the shot to be like a wide overhead, almost like a drone, then like I wanted the end of the frame to be like a close-up, but it came around maybe 45 degrees, and now it's a close-up just ahead. Whereas the beginning of the shot was way like you were like an ant in the frame. The end of the sequence is now it's just like your eyes are boom right there. And I was thinking about how I could describe that, and I stopped because I couldn't. But I imagine that's similar to what's going on with this kind of, if you say one man, those English words have to be decoded somehow into this kind of this matrix of info. And that's something that I'm glad there are computers for. Right? Because then that allows us to just think of, what is a man doing? Or how am I going to time this music with? We can think of other things. I think that is the biggest takeaway for me. What I do personally and for work is it gives me more time to ideate versus like the actual work that goes on in these programs.
As all this stuff evolves, the most important skill anyone can learn if they want to raise, and this is, again, just personal opinion, the actual skill that people have to focus on to raise their value and their earning potential and their income potential in this new world that's coming is they have to practice their critical thinking skills more, as well as their ability to ask better questions. Because that's like, it's not, and you see the quote online, it's not the AI that's going to take your job. It's someone that can use the AI that's going to take your job. No, but it's not that it's someone using the AI. It's just that person probably has better critical thinking and question asking skills. Everyone is always looking for the answers to everything. No one's asking questions. And the people that are asking questions, a lot of times people ask some pretty dumb questions, and we see it all the time on social media. Like, critical thinking and question asking are, like, I've always considered myself an introvert. I can flip the switch. I can do the la-di-da, I can do the dance, but by the end of the dance, I am drained. Like after this,
you're done.
I'm this weekend, I am, bro, my run in Waikiki, if my headphones are not charged, I'm not going. But you have to, to be able to take full advantage of these tools that are available and that will be made available in the coming months and in the coming years, people need to get better at asking questions.
I think that's great advice. Not just for people looking to make AI art. I mean, I don't even know why it's art. It's creativity. Mm-hmm. It's work. You know what I mean? Like it's just what we say in 2023. In 23, they were calling it whatever, the wheel, or I mean, just don't fact check me on the date of the wheel. But I'm just saying, look, at some point in time, they were calling it whatever it was at that time. That was just allowing people to push the boundary of what's possible at a different pace, in a different direction. You're at the forefront of that, and your piece of advice is a timeless one. Like, ask the right questions. Critical thinking. Don't just take things for granted. Don't DM him expecting him to just give you the sauce. You know what I mean? Like, just think about it. Like, be inquisitive. And it doesn't just apply to introverts. I think a lot of people who are behind the camera, it kind of speaks to kind of the psyche of those people too. It's like, we're naturally not in front of the camera. Even for me to like get in front of the camera took some like mental gymnastics, emotional gymnastics. But I was like, just fucking do it, man. And so I think there's a tendency for people behind the camera to want to be behind the scenes, but be very like, I think even if you're what is that opposite of introvert? Extrovert. Yeah. I almost said outrovert. Hey, I was just in Japan for like
that would make
week,
more sense.
And
honestly.
I was like, man, this language thing. A lot of what you do depends on your English proficiency as well, which I'm curious about, like other language models, like in Japan or.
I'm pretty sure there are the largest demographic for the website I work for. I think is China.
Okay, well, it's gotta be, but either way, critical thinking. You gave us a gem. What about? Like, what red flags should we look out for? Let's just say, for that same person that you just gave that advice to, be a critical thinker.
What do you mean by red flags? Like
what not to do? What landmines to look out for?
Don't be a taker. There are too many takers. If you are going to take something, you have to return the value somehow. If your skill set is not up to the standards of being able to return the value in the same way, find something you are good at, and whoever you are seeking to learn information from, you have to return the value. I think more problems in our day-to-day lives could be fixed if every time someone took something, they were just as focused on how to return that, whether it's in their time, their energy, in just something. You have to find ways to return value and not just take it.
It can be monetary too. That can be an exchange. If you're giving something, you're taking something. But to me, that sounds like stewardship versus like ownership is a bit of a two-way street factor to that. Don't just I'd leave it better. I think it's easy here in Hawaii with the environment we're in. You kind of grow up in a place that you don't want to have worse than you.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. Because you see other parts of the world and you know very easily what it could be. But, I'm very fortunate and recognize that the position I have now found myself in would not have been possible had I not met this great group of people that I'm involved with on Discord. I have gotten in like help through things and help with understanding things in ways that I wouldn't have been able to reach in such a short amount of time as I have had I been trying to do it by myself. But I was constantly overly focused at ways I could return that to them.
Got it.
And I made that known to them as well. I didn't just keep that to myself. I always said thank you. I always let them know how grateful I was. And I also always let them know that I am constantly looking for ways to return the value. And some of that value came back in me pulling them in on jobs that I was able to get for myself. I outsourced to a bunch of people in that community. Everyone got paid.
Damn, it sounds like you got a elite class of like remote AI extraordinaires.
I'm super grateful for the people I've found that I now consider my friends with how much time I spend with them. Like they are.
Are you guys like planning? Because I always thought about this being in like Discords. I'm like, some do plan like meetups and stuff every now and then. Is that something you think?
We've discussed it. If like there are certain milestones we all hit.
Nice.
It's all still a little too early to have like a celebratory thing. Gotcha. Like let's like everyone get together in probably Hawaii, because
I was going to
say
that
would be the easy one, right? But that if there's something for like multiple people to celebrate, and right now it feels like stuff is on an exponential curve upwards, which is really nice because it was looking dire there for a while.
Well, if this is just the jump off, this is the blast off time, 2023. You know, we already told people where they can find you, and we look forward to what's going to happen every week, every month, every quarter, every year. What's something that you think is a reasonable way for you to like end out 2023 with, as J-Bo's creative, but then I guess also as your new title?
End out 2023, yeah. Man. I don't even know. I'm just happy that I'm not worried about finding the gig next month, because every month I've been a hunter. Like
eat what you kill.
I've had my base thing, but I've had to build on top of that every month, and every month I've been having to. I've had to hunt for what that was, and I've done it. Sometimes I don't know how I did it, but I've done it. And right now my main focus is doing the best job I can do in my new role. That's all it is.
Hopefully you also have a new role as a model, someone to look up to, as someone who's been on the grind, has earned their place where they're at now, has not only shared their potential by collaborating with a bunch of people around the world, but will probably likely continue doing it. The impact Tyler makes is not limited to what we see him at right now in 2023. Look forward to everything coming up in the future for you. And shout out to Tyler, everyone. You can find the details in the description below. Thanks for coming, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Boom.
Yes, sir. No YouTube?
It's the same thing. It's just I have to figure out what the YouTube looks like. That's probably my next step, is figuring out my long form stuff.
Because that's the thing, huh?
Yeah.
Making a jump from 40 seconds or whatever.
Well, because YouTube is where the actual money is in terms of social media. Especially
if you're gonna like stream stuff. I thought about streaming like stuff too, but I'm like,
I would stream on Twitch.
Right.
And then try to pull people to everything else. Or for me, it would be trying to pull people from my Instagram onto YouTube and onto Twitch.
I see.
Because that's where my following is.
In Instagram.
You
don't even have TikTok?
I do, but I feel like TikTok just doesn't push my shit out. Like, oh, really? I got 1,700 followers. My videos, I'll post a video, it'll get a couple thousand views, and then it'll just hard stop.
Really?
Like, they just stop showing it. And my just shit is buried. Good. Did you see my Kanye West video?
Dude, I didn't even get to the freaking ones that I referenced. Hold up. Let's see.
Bro,
let me see that.
I thought Kanye West was for sure gonna pop off. I for sure thought Kanye West was the one.
Dude.
I thought that was it. I thought that was gonna be the one.
This gonna be the one. Well, I mean, everyone is like.
But no. So I've been trying to. One of my friends from the Discord made her own notebook where she made like, you can take text now and put it in, and it spits out, and you combine it with a model and one Laura, and it spits out a perfectly looping GIF. So like, if you see the little animation things I've been posting in the past week or so, though that's all prompts, and that
From
from just like so
something like this.
like here one I particularly like is this one.
So wait, you telling me these are just GIFs? No.
So I generated it till I found this till I found like, oh, this looks dope.
Yeah.
Then there are things called seeds that you usually want to start off generating pictures with a random seed, so that every time the picture is different. When you find one you like, you uncheck that box. So now it's using the same seed, and now you just slightly change the prompt. So what I do is once I find one I like, then I just go through and I change the camera angle description. So side profile, portrait,
Yeah.
running towards the camera, running away from the camera, screaming into the camera.
Well, what is, because it kind of gave me some Attack on Titan vibes.
Well, there's that, but then like this is the exact same thing.
What do you mean the exact same
Like,
thing?
exact same process, exact same everything, just a different prompt.
Oh, I get it. Like the profile.
Yeah.
Then the, yeah. Following behind,
Yeah,
walking.
and that loops perfectly.
Oh, I see. Oh, this is the one you were just on, yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the same as this.
Yeah. And then I take it in and I punch in and I punch out and I do little things with the camera in Premiere, same as I would do with any other video.
Damn.
Whereas like a lot of other people that are using this notebook now, they're just taking the GIF and just putting the GIF up.
Just put the GIF, but then you have that video background where you'd be like, nah,
yeah,
I'm just using these as clips.
So I'm trying to figure out. I'm thinking as I'm generating them, I'm thinking about it as if I'm like out shooting. Like, okay, what kind of shot do I need?
I got the one. Let me get a little close. Let me get on this side. Like, oh, okay. Damn, bro. Yeah, that's that train one right here. This was fire. I mean,
I was really happy with how that came out last night. I love that lo-fi anime, 90s anime type, cowboy bebop-ish type vibe, and I love the colors. And
but are you putting these colors like pastel skies and?
So that one is actually using a LoRa that was trained only on pastel vector art that one of my friends from the Discord server made.
So is there a market in making LoRa's?
It's most of them. Some people have Patreons that they like they'll put like certain LoRa's up on the website for free, and then if you want like premium stuff, they have a Patreon. But it's still kind of nebulous how people feel about it, because like everyone's like, well, if the software is open source,
yeah,
the assets should be open source because you're making stuff for the software.
Right.
So and some of them have an internal struggle with that as well.
It's almost like a plugin.
Yeah.
Hey, I made the plugin.
But then you put the LoRa's on, and then you can play with the weighting of it.
Right.
So
right.
the train one had a pastel one and also another one called Bloodstain, which is trained only on black and red vector art. But I had that one at a very low weight so that it just like gave the pastel colors a little bit more punch to them. Because colors are really hard to control.
I was gonna say, like, I know it's easy to go composition and cameras and stuff and movement, but then the actual colors.
Whatever the first color you say is, it's gonna try to make the entire scene that color.
Really?
So I have a bunch of LoRa's that have different color that are built around different colorways, and then I use them to like influence it.
Damn, bro.
So on any of these videos, along with the prompt, there'll be anywhere from like 3 to 7 different LoRa's on it, all weighted at different things to have a different amount of influence on the final image.
Would it be an overstretch to say a LoRa is like a LUT? Well, it is, because the lookup table is a...
Well, that... No, but that's if you were only talking about it being
like a color specific.
Because this one, this is the pastel LoRa by itself. Straight pastel 2D vector art.
Okay.
That LoRa is also on this video. That they look completely different.
Yeah. Did you like mask over this video part?
So I rotoscoped. I rotoscoped the toy out because the toy for that collaboration, the toy had to be the real
Had
toy.
to be, yeah.
Because it was for the launch of it.
But then someone's.
So
I get it. Oh, it's that spot in LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I masked the toy out, and then in After Effects, I took the rotoscope,
Yeah.
right? Apply curves to it, pull the whites all the way up. So the actual thing, the roto, is just solid white because apparently you can't just export a roto as
Like a
alpha
PNG
mask
or something. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
After Effects. There's no like just button to do that. So you have to put curves on it and turn it into an alpha mask. Export that. Upload that alpha mask I made with the footage to the AI and tell the AI that this video is the alpha mask.
So you have to, wow. You have to make sure to say that, use this as an alpha mask and then apply. So
And-
you're making all that kind of.
And then there's a range where I can control how much strength goes into diffusing the mask part of it versus the non-mask part. And at what percentage of the video it actually starts the process of it.
So it's keyframing. Like,
But with math.
Yeah. Dang, bro. Keep them coming, bro.
But yeah, man, no. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.